So let's begin here by lowering or closing our eyes. I'll be moving to my mat later. And take a moment here to kind of just connect with where you are on your mat, noticing the earth beneath you, and noticing the sensation of your breath. Where do you feel your breath the most in your body? And perhaps taking deep inhales and long, slow exhales. I'd like to begin by honoring the space that we are in this virtual online space that we are so fortunate to have during this time of our lives. I honor the yoga teachers that have come before us from India and around the world who have brought this beautiful practice called yoga to us. Yoga means union. So I like to think of yoga as not only union in the mind, body, and heart, but also union and connection with each other. I honor all of you for coming here today to practice, for your strengths and challenges, and how each of our journeys have brought us here together today. So taking a couple more rounds of breath here, taking deep inhales and long, slow exhales. And then we're going to move our way into our first pose. So our first pose is a supported child's pose. So there's a few options here for how you could set up this pose. Okay, in your supported child's pose, sorry, making noise here. In your supported child's pose, if you want, you can use a pillow or a blanket or maybe even a couple of blocks. Perhaps you bring your blanket out underneath your knees to support your knees. And maybe you use a couple of blocks or books or whatever you have or a pillow to place out in front. So in this pose here, we'll bring our feet together, knees apart, sitting the hips back. Maybe you place the pillow underneath you, something to hold on to. Or perhaps if it's in your body, if you have blocks or anything, maybe bringing the blocks out long and allowing your heart to melt down towards the earth. So any variation that feels comfortable for you. Grab my pillow to show that one. And again, remember to listen to your body. So maybe you need to come out, maybe child's pose isn't the pose for you. So if it's not the pose for you, if maybe you have some sort of knee issues or anything like that that's bothering you, maybe instead you come down onto your belly. I invite you to fold the blanket long, place the blanket on the earth, and then come down onto the blanket. And then you decide where it goes. Maybe it's under the hips, maybe it's under the belly. So either supported child's or that second variation there of the pose. So know that you're not stuck in any position here. You can always come out, make adjustments. Maybe you add more pillows. Maybe you place a pillow underneath your hips. Maybe a roll blanket or towel underneath your ankles. Anything that will help you soften and settle here. And taking deep inhales in through your nose, into your diaphragm, and long, slow exhales out. Releasing any tension that you feel here in your body. Notice if you're holding any tension in your jaw, around your eyes, maybe in your shoulders. And see if you can relax and soften here. So this time of year can be difficult. Um, Sometimes it can feel isolating. Also, the last 9 months have brought us some difficult times, some struggle, loss, and worry. There can be some unresolved sadness, anger, anxiety, and frustration that can get trapped in the body. It's normal to suppress struggle and difficult emotions. Today, we will release pain and struggle and move with more ease and peace. So while you are here, I invite you to once again notice your breath. Maybe you feel your breath along the back side of your body. Perhaps you feel your rib cage expanding on your inhale and coming back together on your exhale. And take a moment to release any thoughts that don't serve you. Maybe releasing thoughts about things you need to do this weekend. Maybe conversations you had during your week. And just notice your breath, how your breath can kind of originate out of nowhere, just comes up on its own time without thought. And take a moment to listen inside. See if there are any words that bubble up to the surface. Maybe you open yourself up to a word or a phrase that might be just what you need to hear right now. If a word or phrase were to appear from the bottom of your heart, what would it be? If maybe more than one word comes into your mind, perhaps roll them around a little bit and see which one resonates with you the most. And perhaps select one that would be perfect for you at this time in your life. Maybe it's something like love, compassion, peace, relaxation. And once you have a word or phrase, allow yourself to savor it, rolling it over and over in your mind. If you notice that your mind begins to wander, bring it ever so gently back to the word or phrase. If you feel you need to, you can turn your head to the other direction or maybe make some changes here in this pose to help you sink and settle a little bit more. Again, coming back to that word or phrase. If you haven't thought of anything, I invite you to think of the word love. Just repeating that to yourself. So finding 2 more rounds of breath here. And then making some small movements in your fingers and toes. Slowly making your way up, maybe into a tabletop. Wrists are underneath your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips. And then making your way into seated. So any comfortable seated position for you. Maybe it's crisscross applesauce. Maybe you'd rather have your legs out straight. I invite you to find something to place underneath your hips for a little bit of support. So maybe it's a folded blanket, a pillow, or a block. Okay, and before we get into some movement, we're going to do a little bit of a meditation. So once you find your comfortable place here on the earth, lowering or closing your eyes. And again, noticing your breath. Taking deep inhales and long, slow exhales. While you are here, I invite you to dedicate this practice to another person, or maybe to self-love and self-healing. If it's to another person, I invite you to remember them when they were happy, when they were peaceful. And if it's to self-love or self-healing, what would that look like to you? So bringing that vision into your mind. And notice what you feel in your heart. Remember to move with kindness and self-compassion today. Take any breaks that you need to and join us again whenever you are ready. So gently opening your eyes. And we're going to find some movement here. So let's start with some shoulder rolls. On your inhale, shoulders roll up toward your ears, and on your exhale, shoulders roll back and down your spine. So take your time here, taking full breaths in, long, slow breaths out. So one more time here. Okay. And then let's bring the hands to the shoulders. Elbows come out to the side. And I invite you to find some circles here in your elbows. So any direction that feels good for you. And maybe if you wish, allowing your elbows to move in the opposite direction. Okay, beautiful. Let's bring our hands down towards our thighs and we'll find some seated cat-cow. So rounding your spine, tucking your chin, tucking your tailbone, and then opening your heart up towards the sky, shoulders roll back and down your spine. And take your time here with this movement and see where it's more comfortable to inhale and where it's more comfortable to exhale. Wonderful. We'll go one more time in each direction. And then once that's complete for you, coming back to center. And we'll find some movement here in our upper body. So making some circles here, maybe they're big circles, little circles, whatever feels good for you in your body. And just take a moment here to notice what you feel in your hips, in your back. And then perhaps going in the opposite direction if you haven't already. And coming back to center here. We're going to come into some tailor pendulum swings. So placing your right hand on the earth, maybe you tent your fingers. Left palm faces up towards the sky. On your inhale, reaching your arm up, and exhale, coming over. So top shoulder rolls back and down your spine. And you're going to move with your own breath, inhaling to center and exhaling over to the other side. Just moving at your own pace. So we're just finding a little bit of warm up here for our core, for our spine. Okay, let's go one more time in each direction. And then coming back to center. And when you're ready, we'll come into a moving twist. So shoulders roll back and down, palms face up towards the sky. On your inhale, reaching up, and exhale, turning to one side, arms come down by your sides. On your inhale, coming back to center, And exhale, coming over to the other side. So continue moving here with your own breath at your own pace. So let's go one more time in each direction. And then allowing your arms to come back to center and allowing your hands to come down by your sides. All right, we're gonna move. So let's come into a tabletop pose. If you wish, using your blanket underneath your knees as padding. Okay. So tabletop, wrists are underneath your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips. Okay, we're going to find some movement here. So perhaps you make some C shapes here with your body or figure eights. Maybe you move in and out of child's pose. Just find any movement that feels right for you in your body. So no rush. Okay, let's come back to our tabletop here. We're going to come into a balancing cat. So drawing your navel in towards your spine, gripping your fingers into the earth, and you go only as far as you feel comfortable. So perhaps you're just extending one leg or maybe your arm and your leg. So we'll begin, right leg comes long behind you, pointing your toes down towards the earth. Perhaps the left arm comes up by your ear, shoulder rolls back and down your spine. And just find your breath. Feel the warmth in your body beginning here. Maybe you feel warmth in your core. Be sure to look down at the earth. So if you want, you can stay here, you can take a break, or maybe you play with it a little bit. Perhaps the left arm comes out to the side, the right leg comes out to the side. Be mindful of anything that's close by. Inhale, coming back to center, and exhale out to the side again. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, come out to the side. Inhale to center. Last one, arm and leg come out. Coming back to your balancing cat and then back into tabletop. So we're going to give our right hand here a little bit of a break. So allowing your right hand to come up towards the sky on an inhale. And on an exhale, arm comes down towards the earth, scooping the arm under. We're not going to come all the way down just yet. We're just going to keep finding this movement. So inhale, arm reaches up nice and high. Exhale, arm slides under on the earth. 2 more times. Inhale, arm reaches. Exhale, arm slides under. Last one, reaching nice and high. And this time, allowing your arm to come underneath and slowly allowing your right shoulder and the right side of your head to come to the earth. Notice what's going on with your right shoulder. If it's up close to your ear, send it down toward your knees. See if you can just sink and settle here. Notice if it feels like you're trying to hold yourself up somehow. And release yourself down towards the earth. Let's find 2 more rounds of breath. And then using your left hand to push into the earth to unravel, allowing the right arm to come up towards the sky, and then placing the right hand down towards the earth. Okay, we'll find balancing cat on the other side. Left leg comes long behind you, toes point down. Imagine there's a string pulling your belly button up towards the sky. And then right arm comes long by your ear, rolling the shoulder back and down your spine. And find your breath. Perhaps you stay here, or maybe you find that movement, arm to the side, leg to the side, and just moving back and forth here at your own pace. Maybe you just stay in balancing cat, or maybe you come into a resting pose. So let's do one more. Come back to the balancing cat and into tabletop. So this time, left arm reaches up towards the sky, scooping the left arm underneath your body. Not coming quite all the way down. We're just going to move through this. Move at your own pace. Arm reaches nice and high. And then scooping the arm under. Okay, and the next time your left arm comes underneath you, sending the left shoulder, left side of the head down towards the earth. Check and see if you need to move the shoulder toward your knees, and then sink and settle here. Find your breath. And again, maybe you notice the breath along the back side of your body. Finding 2 more rounds of breath. And then pushing into your right hand and allowing the left arm to reach up nice and high and placing the left hand down towards the earth. We'll come into a child's pose whenever you're ready. Big toes together, knees apart, sitting the hips back, arms come long. This time with our child's pose, we're going to find a little bit of a different movement. So allowing your arms to walk over towards the right side of your mat. Perhaps the left hand walks away a little further and melting the left side body down towards the earth. And gently allowing your hands to walk through center and over towards the left side. Maybe the right hand walks away a little further. Melting the right side body down towards the earth. And then allowing your hands to come back to center and coming back into your tabletop pose. So we're going to make our way up to standing. So if you wish, you can follow me. We're going to go into a downward dog first, or maybe you make your way up to standing, however you feel comfortable doing so. So downward dog, we'll curl our toes under, send the hips up and back behind you. As much of a bend in your knees as you need. And perhaps you pedal out your feet here, bending one knee, then the other. Release any tension you feel here in your neck. And then slowly walking your feet up toward your hands. And we'll all come into a forward fold here. So feet are hip distance apart. allowing your upper body to fold down towards the earth. Arms maybe dangle, maybe you grab a hold of opposite elbows and release any tension you feel here in your neck. Perhaps you sway. All right. So this is where we're going to start to bring a little bit of sound into our practice. So know that I don't like to make a lot of sound in practice, but it's one way to move energy. So no one is around to hear you, only you hear me. So don't be embarrassed. So we're just going to take a big breath in and then let it out. Do that a couple more times. Deep breath in and let it out. Last one, deep breath in and let it out. So before we come up to standing here, let's come into a halfway lift. Hands come to shins or thighs. Nice flat back, shoulders roll back and down your spine. I want you to come up nice and slow so you don't get dizzy. We'll find a couple breaths here. Send the crown of your head towards the front of your mat. Draw the navel in. And then on your next inhale, hands come to your waist. Lengthen your spine, coming up to standing. So we're just going to be here for a few moments or a few minutes, I guess. So let's find our mountain pose at the top of the mat. Feet are hip distance apart. Shoulders roll back and down your spine. Imagine there is a block between your thighs. Gently squeezing the block. Notice how your legs become active and maybe a little bit of activation here in your glutes. Crown of your head reaches up nice and high. We're just going to find a little bit of movement here. So on your inhale, arms reach up towards the sky, shoulders roll back and down. And on your exhale, arms come out to the side, swan diving down, as much of a bend in your knees as you need. On your inhale, hands come to shins or thighs, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold all the way. Inhale, arms come out to the side, nice flat back, reverse swan dive up into extended mountain. And exhale, bringing your hands to heart center. So do that a few more times. Inhale, arms reach up high. Exhale, swan diving down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse, swan dive up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Last one, inhale, reaching up, extended mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. And inhale, reverse swan dive up, extended mountain. And exhale, hands coming to heart center. Perhaps take a moment here to lower or close your eyes and reconnect to that word or phrase that came to you at the beginning of our practice. Gently releasing your arms by your sides. Okay, so this next one, again, it's movement and sound. So I've put in the comments, I don't know if you can see them. If not, I can send it to you later. This part of this is designed by Paul Dennison, who does grief yoga. So you can do this standing up, or you can come back down to the earth if you want, into a seated position. Find something to place underneath your hips. Okay. So the way it works here, it's to move emotion through. So we'll start with our hands by our heart. Hands are in a fist. And as you move here, you're going to go one arm at a time. So you're going to push your hand forward, open your palm. As you do that, you're going to make noise. So reach forward and go, ha. Bring the arm back, bring the fist back, and then the other side, ha. So continue here. Do this at your own pace, ha. And I know we feel silly making noise, ha. But it helps, ha. So sometimes we get emotions stuck in our throat. We can't find our voice. This helps us to move through, to move that voice. So continue moving here and see what comes up. Is there anything that maybe you're feeling stuck with? Something you need to move, something you need to release, and really push your arm out. Ha. Ha. What emotions are there that you don't need? Is there frustration, anger, resentment? Maybe there are some what ifs going through your mind, some should haves or shouldn't have. Allow it to move through you. I'm going to do this a few more times here. So we're here for a couple of minutes. Ha. Ha. Keep going. Letting feelings move through you, any pain or sadness. Releasing any regrets. And see if you can do this without feeling judgment or worry about how you sound. So a couple more. Ha. 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 Okay, two more here. Okay, and then releasing your arms down by your side. Shake out your arms. Let anything that's there move through you. If you need to, shake out your legs, shake out anything that needs it. Maybe it's just your hands. Maybe that's enough. Okay, and then we're going to come back down to seated and we're going to do one more meditation similar to this one. Not quite as noisy though. So any comfortable seated position for you on the earth. Find something to support you. That is if you're not already seated. So first, bringing your hands to your heart. Notice your breath. Notice your heartbeat. Can you hear any sounds in the room? Maybe the sound of your heart or your breath. Maybe there are sounds that you hear in your home or maybe outside. Are there any smells around you? Perhaps if your eyes are closed, you open your eyes and notice three things that you see. And then when you're ready, bringing your hands together, creating kind of like a bowl here with your hands, shoulders relax, bringing the bowl nice and close to you. And we're going to use breath here with this bowl. So as you inhale, take a deep breath in through your nose, into your diaphragm. And as you exhale, let go of the breath with pursed lips. And just continue here. Deep breath in through the nose, into the diaphragm, and then almost as if you're breathing through a straw. Close your eyes if that feels more comfortable for you, or maybe you look down at your bowl. So as you breathe out, imagine that your breath is filling that bowl. I invite you to breathe in a moment that you overcame adversity or challenge, a time that you found courage to keep going in your life. And as you breathe out, perhaps you imagine breathing that out into your bowl, feeling your bowl. Take your time with your exhales. Maybe you slow them down just a little bit more, filling your bowl with courage, strength. So let's do that one more time. And then returning to your natural rhythm of breath and bringing that bowl and placing that bowl on your heart. And as you come back to your normal breath, see if you can tune into your heart. Maybe you feel your heartbeat. And if you wish, maybe saying to yourself, I am stronger than I think. I am stronger than I think. I am courageous. I am courageous. I am powerful. I am powerful. I am healing. I am healing. Gently releasing your arms down by your sides. And we're going to make our way down onto the earth, onto the back body. Oops. So removing anything, maybe placing the blanket nearby. We'll be coming back to that in a little bit. So first, let's come down and find anything here that feels good. Maybe you hug your knees in towards your chest. Perhaps you rock from side to side. Maybe you make circles here with your knees. And then from here, we're going to place both feet on the earth about hip distance apart, knees are bent. Arms are going to come down by your sides. Okay, and bringing your feet as close as you can comfortably get them to your hips. And we're going to come into a moving bridge here. So whenever you're ready, pushing your feet into the earth, lift your hips, squeeze your inner thighs, and as you exhale, gently lowering your hips down towards the earth. So continue moving here at your own breath, with your own breath at your own pace. Lift your hips on your inhale, and on your exhale, slowly lowering back down. Maybe you bring your arms into this movement. Inhale, hips come up, arms reach up and back behind you. And exhale, hips come down, arms come down by your sides. So take your time, slowing down your breath. So let's go one more time through this. And then once that's complete for you, feet come mat distance apart and windshield wipering your knees from side to side. Okay, from here, allowing your feet to come back towards each other. And then crossing your right ankle over your left thigh and activating your left foot. So if you wish, you can keep your foot the way it is, this configuration. Maybe you just take your right hand and push your right thigh away. Or perhaps you draw your legs closer to you. Right foot stays active here, so slightly curling back your toes and grabbing a hold somewhere on your left leg. Maybe you lower or close your eyes and take deep inhales, long, slow exhales, and soften your shoulders. Notice if you're holding any tension here in your jaw, around your eyes. Release and soften. Finding one more round of breath. And then gently releasing your left foot to the earth. And we'll switch over to the other side. Right foot's on the earth, left foot crosses over, activating that foot. Maybe you push the left thigh away, or maybe you draw the legs in closer to you, grabbing a hold of your right leg somewhere. And again, soften. Release any tension. And find your breath. Finding one more round of breath here. And then gently releasing your legs to the earth and crossing your legs. We're going to bring our feet wide here on the mat once again and windshield wipering the knees from side to side. So we're going to find a little bit of a different variation here on a twist. So arms can come out to the side in a T shape, or maybe arms come into cactus shape, depending on the space and the preference of your body here. And whenever you are ready, feet stay wide on the mat, allowing your legs to drop over towards the right side. So perhaps you feel something here along the front of the left thigh. And know that if this feels completely sucky for you in your body, you can come out and come into any variation of a twist that feels good for you. Maybe you stack knees, getting a little bit deeper into the back. And notice where you feel your breath in this pose. Softening your shoulders, your jaw, your forehead. Finding one more round of breath. And then gently allowing your legs to come back to center. And again, we'll bring our feet wide on the mat and windshield wiper the knees from side to side. And this time allowing your legs to drop over towards the left side. Perhaps you stay here, or maybe you find more of a twist by stacking knees right on the left, keeping both shoulders flat on the earth. Notice if you're holding any tension in your hips. Does it feel like you're trying to hold yourself up somewhere? And relax and soften. Finding one more round of breath here. And then gently allowing your legs to once again come back to center. And rolling over to one side, whichever side is calling for you, and slowly making your way up to seated. We'll set up for one of our last poses here. So in this pose, you'll need your blanket and either pillows or blocks if you have them. And we're going to create a roll here in our blanket, but when you create this roll, make sure that it's long enough to go from at least your tailbone to the top of your head. Okay, because we're going to place it on the floor and we want it to be nice and supportive here. So whenever you find your roll, you'll know if it's too thick when you come down onto the floor. You may need to unroll it even just a little bit, and then you'll be able to come back down. So the way this works is you'll find a position that works best for you. So to begin, hips are going to come up close to the roll. The feet are going to be out in front. And slowly rolling back onto this roll, make sure your head finds the roll wherever it is. We're going to bring our arms out into cactus arms. So kind of like goalpost arms here, if that's comfortable for you. If not, arms can come down by your sides. So notice when you come down what it feels like here in your low back. Maybe you need to scooch up a little bit so that you have a little bit more support in your low back, or perhaps you bring your hips down a little bit more so that your hips come down towards the earth. Arms out in the cactus shape. And then from here, you have lots of options for your legs, whatever feels the most comfortable for you. So perhaps feet are wide on the mat, knees come together. Maybe you prefer your legs to be out long. Or perhaps feet come together, knees apart. And if you need, grabbing a hold of a pillow or block to place either underneath your knees or underneath your hip. So wherever you find a comfortable position here is great. And remember, you want to be in a place where you can relax and soften. So if there's any bit of discomfort, it's like Princess and the Pea. If you feel it now, it's going to suck later. So make any adjustments before we kind of settle into this pose here. And once you find your way down into this comfortable place, returning to the sensation of your breath. See if you can slow down your breath just a little bit more. Taking deep inhales in through your nose and long, slow exhales out. Perhaps you return to that word or phrase that came to you at the beginning of practice. And now I invite you to begin sensing the support of where your body makes contact with the earth and the props around you. Notice the unwavering stability of this support and how it doesn't change. I invite you to call into mind an image of the most beautiful mountain that you can imagine. Let it gradually come into greater focus. Feel its overall shape, its peaks in the sky, its large base rooted and grounded, and its sloping sides. Notice how massive it is, how solid, how still, and how strong this mountain is. And now see if you can bring the mountain into your body so that your body becomes this strong, solid, peaceful mountain. Your head becomes the peak, reaching to the sky with confidence. Your shoulders and arms, the sides of the mountain, protecting you. Your legs, the solid base, supporting you. Feel your body long and tall, strong like the mountain. As the seasons flow into one another, you, the mountain, remain still and strong, watching as the weather changes from storms to sun. None of this matters to the mountain. You always remain your strong self, no matter what happens on the surface. Feel this still and strong presence in the face of everything that changes in your life. We all have our own periods of light and darkness, ease and intensity. The things that happen to us, our thoughts and feelings, are very much like the weather of the mountain. They are ever changing, but always beneath them lays our strong, solid, peaceful self. With each breath, feel your strong, solid, peaceful self. Feeling strong, solid, and peaceful. And gently bringing your awareness back into the room. Perhaps making some small movements here in your body. Okay, and wherever you are, allowing your knees to come back up towards, pointing up towards the sky, feet are on the earth. Then we're going to roll over to one side. So any side that feels comfortable for you, allow that arm to come long. So up by your ear and then slowly rolling over onto that arm, using it as a pillow. And then we're going to come into Shavasana, or any final resting pose that's comfortable for you. So perhaps you just remove your props out of your way, or maybe you prefer a different variation of Shavasana on the floor. You could be on your side, on your front body. Use any props around you that will help you feel supported and relaxed. Maybe you place your blanket or some pillows underneath your knees to support your low back here as you come down to the earth. Maybe you find another blanket to cover yourself up with. So anything that will help you find relaxation here on the earth. And once you get there, lowering or closing your eyes. Noticing the sensation of your breath. Taking deep inhales and long, slow exhales. Softening your jaw. Imagine that you can soften your ears, both the inside and outside of your ears, and notice what happens with your upper jaw. Softening the lower jaw, allowing your head to sink down into the earth. Releasing any tension you feel in your shoulders and your arms. Softening your hips and your legs. Maybe you take a few more sighs of breath if that feels right for you. Taking a deep inhale in through your nose and then exhale. Maybe two more times. Inhale in through your nose and exhale. Last time, in through the nose and exhale. And just let go. Let go of your body. Let go of your thoughts. Let go of our practice today. This is your opportunity to honor your body, your mind, and your heart. And see if you can just find peace and stillness. And gently bringing your awareness back into the room. Noticing the sensation of the earth beneath you. Maybe you notice the air on your skin. Perhaps the sound of your breath or your heartbeat. And whenever you're ready, making some small movements in your body, perhaps rocking your head from side to side. Maybe making small movements in your fingers and toes. Perhaps your small movements become bigger movements. And whenever you're ready, rolling over to one side, whichever side is calling for you. And then slowly making your way up to seated. And once you get there, lowering or closing your eyes. Again, taking deep inhales, long, slow exhales. I invite you to bring your hands to your heart or to heart center, whatever feels best for you. And then bowing your head. I invite you to honor yourself for coming to practice today. May the merit and grace of our practice together ease suffering in ourselves and in the world. Thank you for joining me today. Have a beautiful evening. So before you get up, I encourage you to write down anything in your notebook or piece of paper that you don't want to forget, because as soon as you leave, you'll forget. And I'm here if anybody has any questions or wants to talk about anything. Whoops, knocking my chair over. But remember, you're on mute, so. And I'm going to stop the recording.